Right.
He saw that coming a mile off somehow, and because of it, he's going to have an advantage in this. We thought maybe the Warlock mirror would be important if the Paladins went. The Paladins are here. We're going to get to see lots of Paladin action.
And this is a pretty brutal starting hand for Switch, like very powerful. You don't often get the classic one-drop into Rockpool Hunter, or one-drop Murloc into Rockpool Hunter that was so dominant throughout most of the year of the Mammoth. But it's looking very possibly to happen here for Switch. But at the same time, this is where the power of the upgraded Rogue Hero power shines through, because like every early game minion dies to it. There's few 2-mana 3-attack minions that will survive to it.
Yeah, but upgraded things do. But like you say, he's going to get rid of it before it's upgraded, and now it's up to Switch to see how he wants to go about this. I suspect he'll try to make that happen, maybe even on turn 2.
Right.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on here in terms of decisions that need to be made, and he's just going to wait, offer out some sacrifices, and then next turn maybe play both of the Murlocs.
Yeah, I can agree with this. But then at the same time, when you can go coin Call to Arms, you generally do go coin Call to Arms. It's not really it's not really up to you all too much of the time. But he's
got
in
the
the
weapon
end
as well.
Going to be going for coin Champions Maul, which I suppose the point of this is weapon gives you 2 turns of board advantage, and on the second turn when he is anticipating to still be on head on board, that's when you go to Murloc Tidecaller into Rockpool Hunter. And this feels like a very nice sequencing here for Switch. He realizes his hand is very synergy-based. He has to have board control for his hand to work, and Weapon is the best way to achieve that.
And what's a good way to play Call to Arms? On an empty board.
Right.
That's when it's a good card.
That's
if you
fair.
can suck the Fan of Knives out of your opponent's hand on these little baity 1/1s that you don't really care about, and then just dump a load of Murlocs down that they have to deal with, and then dump a Call to Arms. Did well to sort of just completely ignore his Knife Juggler here as well. And there goes the Fan. And now he's going to start taking over the game, and Divine Favour will help him refill once he has done all this dumping of his hand.
And with so many possibilities available to Switch right at the start of the game, it feels like he's just condensed it down to the optimal line, the most efficient line, because like you said, the Call to Arms, while he's ahead on board, has gone from decent to really, really good here, because even though his opponent has made some very powerful tempo plays back in his favour, if that one copy of Knife Juggler can be found off Call to Arms, this is just looking like Switch can't really lose here.
He has tidied everything up beautifully. There's the Righteous Protector. What does it do? It protects stuff. And this is a board that is worthy of protection.
Absolutely, especially once that Knife Juggler comes down, very possibly going to be surviving a couple of turns once it does. And as crazy as it seems, it almost looks like Divine Favour might be getting value versus Odd Rogue.
That is actually insane, but the second Fan of Knives has been pulled up to give some sort of removal, but it might just be too slow, incredibly.
It's very slow.
And this is where Murlocs do shine, and they're a little tiny bit more difficult to kill than dudes.
But this is where Fan of Knives is supposed to shine. Like, you put double Fan of Knives in your deck when you expect Paladin. That's why you put it in there, because even in the Murloc variants, you've got Vine Cleaver, you've got Lost in the Jungle, there's a lot of dudes knocking about nonetheless. And Fan of Knives is obviously great against dudes, but it's very bad here. A little bit too slow, I would say. It gives you... Okay, it's not very bad. It's decent here, but it's still pretty slow. Drawing the card is not what you want. You want it to be cheaper and quicker.
Yeah, he's going to be able to tidy up a bit of this, but the problem is he's tidying up some and then passing turn back to Switch, who has 2 more minions locked and loaded, ready to go. And yeah, seogui realising that actually I need to stem the tide here. I can't just keep trading, I've just got to put a thing in the way.
Didn't know that was a card, Murloc Stem Tider.
Next time. Next time we're having one of those. Spellbreaker's tempting here just to lower the attack value of the creeper.
Right. And yeah, I can totally understand, like, whatever gives him the best play at the moment is probably what Switch should go for, because he wants to make sure he does not lose board control whatsoever in this scenario. And the stronger play he makes in the immediate, it gives his opponent less time to get value from the dagger, because obviously Segui's hero power is just better than the Paladins at the moment. It's clearing off so much more effectively. So Switch needs to put himself in a position where he's closing out the game nice and quickly. And he's been in a scenario for a few turns where, you know, just one War Leader, one Gentle Megasaur just puts him in an almost irreparably good position. Yeah,
the longer he can keep seogui messing around trying to kill stuff off, the better this Divine Favour is going to be. He's still able to dump his own hand, and seogui is not. He's going to have to start playing expensive minions to just keep this scary looking.
And these trades from Switch, I do got a question, if I'm honest. Like, you're trading into your opponent's measly little Tar Creeper here. When with one attack, it's really not doing much of anything. Like, as a Murloc deck, you want your Murlocs to be healthier. Like, your minions being healthier is better than your opponent's minions being weak. You just want to solidify your own board control as much as possible. And it's allowed seogui to go for these, you know, these plays that start to pull board control back in his favor. Whereas, you know, Blessed Maul would have been better with an extra minion on the board. Like, all the Mauls would have been.
Juggling time, maybe? No, he looks like he's going to go the other way. Still sort of solidify the board.
Yeah, I like this one.
Looking up at Segui's next turn is going to be awkward as well.
And Switch, while he navigated, I believe, his early turns in a very masterful fashion, giving himself, like I mentioned, the highest efficiency, highest early board control, is starting to struggle a lot more. And I've started to disagree with his trading decisions here, because obviously nothing here works out brilliantly. You know, there's no perfect trade that you can take here. I think he should probably... maybe he can't start going on the aggressive. Like, if Fungalmancer comes down for his opponent here, like, that's just so bad for him. He just loses board control forever then. So I like the trade here with the weapon, but you want to get some damage through to Fates, because like I keep mentioning, eventually this weapon will just win the board for seogui. It's too good.
This kind of forces the double trade, but for the first time, Seogui's actually going to get stuff on the board.
Right, he's ahead.
Yeah, actually be ahead at the end of his turn. And for all the talk about the Divine Favour, you don't really want to have to play it. It's 3 mana in a mana-intensive contest.
Good point.
And yes, Segui's spamming the board with stuff, and suddenly the board looks completely different to how we expected it to look 2 turns ago.
Absolutely. This is just not the way I expect this matchup to go when you get 1-drop Murloc, Rockpool Hunter, Call to Arms, and a very nice Champion's Maul as well to throw in there. Just so many powerful early game options available to Switch, but hasn't quite been able to capitalize on it, as seogui's hero power, while it has been causing him to take lots of damage, has just provided him with absurd amounts of value.
Second Call to Arms and the Juggler are going to have to do some serious jugglerizing, because otherwise this is just going to go the other way in a hurry, if it hasn't already gone too far. The green skin was a big saviour there for Seogui, to be fair.
Yeah.
Really saved him a lot of mana.
And this is just like, I'm pretty sure this is quite easily 2-turn lethal setup for seogui, with obviously Fungalmancer, Hero Power, Weapon, or the Deadly Poison thrown in there as well. Especially if you can get Wind Fury on the Vicious Fledgling. It's just beyond a shadow of a doubt at that point.
Yeah. Let's see what this Fledgling has to say about this game.
I mean, that's fine. These are all okay.
Yeah, you just pick one.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all fine.
I mean, even Taunt is like... It means you don't have to trade, I suppose, because the 1 copy of Spellbreaker is gone. It's... For the first time in history, like, Taunt is a reasonable pick.
It really is, especially with that 6/6 Edwin sort of sneaking around behind the lines.
Right. It might lead you to putting through more damage to phase. And I think he will realise it's very unlikely he dies no matter what. Like, there's not that much burst damage. But in the end, he does go for it. This, however, I do not necessarily agree with. Like, it does still set up lethal, I believe, with the way the numbers work out.
Plays around the Megasaur nicely, though. That was a chance to do something naughty, maybe, in his mind.
Yeah, but it doesn't play around Righteous Protector or something like that. Like a Taunt that could be thrown in the way here, or Sunkeeper Tarim even. Like, you know, I think trying to close out the game as quickly as possible for seogui is the better play.
Yeah, I mean, his hand is good, right? His Phantom Deadly Poison is a lot of stuff.
I agree. But if he's making this trade, he should not have gone for Taunt. Like, go for one of the better options, like plus health or minions. Like, it's
maybe he changed his mind halfway through that play.
Right, sure. Yeah. As like you said, Juggle's really the only thing that has even a chance of pulling Switch back into this game. Righteous Protector would be very powerful. Another Knife Juggler isn't bad.
Perhaps he can teach the first one, because the first one's rubbish.
Yeah, really needs to snipe off that Edwin if there's really much of a chance of surviving here.
That was just a whole bunch of random knives. It's almost like they've not been taught at all. And yeah, here's that fan doing its thing. Count to 1,000,000, and it's 1-0 to seogui after looking after 4 turns like Switch had, like you say, masterfully sort of organised his early play.
And a pretty nice victory for the Rogue, actually, because with the odd Rogue in this lineup for seogui, what it feels to me like it's doing is it's obviously trying to counter Quest Rogue, #1, and then after that, Q-Block, which is not